Hello, hi, how are you? And welcome to another podcast by George. Well, another thrill for me today. We've got Nate Fredrick on the podcast, and he's a musician on the make. This is an up-and-comer, a guy that I really like. And before we get to Nate, I'll share a brief story with you as to why this is important to me. More years ago than I even want to tell you, I'm a disc jockey in my first radio station, and a promotional album comes through, and it's got this nerdy-looking dude with long blonde hair on the front cover and these granny eyeglasses, and I thought, well, this has got to be no good. They sent it out for free, but I'll give it a spin, and I started listening to this album, and holy buckets, was it good. I mean, this was really good stuff. And look at the name of the guy. I'd never heard of him before. Well, the guy's name was Warren Zevon, and it was a promotional album sent out by Warner Brothers to the radio stations, and guys like me were lucky enough to get really the first notice on a guy like Warren Zevon. And I followed Warren's career and was a huge fan of his and bought all of his stuff. And the beauty of that is I was always able to tell people that I got in on the ground floor. I knew about Warren and was talking him up to friends and family and everybody that would listen to me long before everybody else learned about him. And that's cool. I mean, that's really a fun thing. And I did the same thing with Nate Fredrick. I got an early edition of his album, his first disc, Outside the Lines, and I've about wore that thing out. I mean, it's been in rotation in my CD player in my car, and I've just listened to it to death. I just love the thing. So I thought, well, I got to get him on the podcast. And he was gracious enough to come on with us, and he's on now on the phone out in Nashville, Tennessee. How you doing, Nate?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
We're doing great back here. The podcast is a lot of fun for me, and the best part of it is I get to talk to people like you, and I would never get to do these interviews otherwise. You know, I did a bunch of them back when I was on the air, but now that I'm in early retirement, I get to revisit this, and I'm really, really anxious to catch up with you. That Outside the Lines album was great. I've got several favorites on there. We want to listen to a little bit of it. But I've been checking you out and following some YouTube videos and kind of seeing what's going on. And you've got last time I saw you, you had a full band, and you've got a new disc coming out.
Yeah, really what it is, so it took a while of living in Nashville. I lived here for 3.5 years, and just recently in the last year, I've gotten hooked up with a group of guys that we've started writing together and playing out together, and we went to Muscle Shoals, Alabama, to kind of test it out in the studio after about 15 shows together. And we recorded 3 songs there.
When you hear Muscle Shoals, you immediately kind of think soul, rhythm, and blues sounding type stuff. Is this where you're headed with this album? Or
the Outside the Lines record was really just across the board as far as, pretty eclectic for me as far as a direction to go. And this is kind of taking some of those bluesier tunes like Mirrors or Outside the Lines or Keep My Heart in Mind, to name a couple, that kind of had that bluesy influence, and this has kind of facilitated that in Muscle Shoals. Because, I mean, we wouldn't have gone down there and tried to make a pop record, so we went there for that reason. So it definitely has that flavor to it. But Muscle Shoals has just that little bit of that little dust on it that we were kind of searching for as far as realism.
Yeah.
goes.
I want to play a couple of songs off of Outside the Lines, and the title track probably is where we ought to start with this. And when I listened to this CD, what struck me about it was I saw a quote, and I don't know if you saw this too, but Adam Duritz, the guy that was the lead singer-songwriter for Counting Crows, on the August and Everything After CD that was so, popular and big for those guys, they asked him one time, they said, well, that first album was so, it was kind of quiet, and it is kind of a lot of the songs are sad on there, very introspective type music. And they said, and then the next album from Counting Crows was with the band, and it kind of changed and grew and got bigger and louder to a certain respect. And they asked him how that happened that way, and he said, the band really didn't know how to play together. They couldn't have done that on the first album if they'd have wanted to, and they just grew, and it just kind of happened that way. And when I listened to your first album, Outside the Lines, that's kind of what I'm thinking. This is a guy, mostly doing his solo stuff, and it's a little quieter. And some of the songs are very introspective. I mean, this stuff is very personal, and I can tell that from the tunes right off with the opening tune, outside the lines. Is that kind of what we're talking about here as far as how the music progresses? Is that how you look at it?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you really kind of hit the nail on the head in a lot of different levels with that. Part of that was that I didn't really know exactly, how I wanted to record those tunes either. And I had a bass player named Sean Monday, who's kind of in the virtuoso category, that had played with me ever, since the beginning. And he was on that record, and we had a couple different drummers, and the producer was named Jeff Smith in Springfield, Missouri. And I was just kind of trying to figure it out, which is really what I'm still doing, but I'm just, better at connecting the dots now than I was. And, that record was all really about, partly about starting to play music, partly about our relationship that ended when I moved to Nashville. Just kind of a growing up experience with the songs that I wrote, but then also that record in making it was then, a growing experience to that point, which has really brought me to, to the level to where I'm at now, with the people that I'm playing with. And, your music should be, in my opinion, autobiographical.
From Outside the Lines is definitely that. When I try to kind of figure out, get inside the head of Nate Fredrick, I give this song a spin. Let's listen to a little bit of this. Let's listen to Outside the Lines and give our listeners a little taste of what Nate Fredrick is like. Here it is.
I won't live my life outside the lines, though I still can't see the road ahead. I know what I left behind. It seems like it's been raining around here for days, and I'm missing my lover, no, in so many ways. I said I want you to know I won't forget you, babe. No, I won't forget you, babe. The street lights shine in my eyes, every city looks the same. But I'm out here on my own, and I'm the only one to blame. Seems like being alone is the only way to follow your heart, and the only way to lose this race is if you never start. No, I said I want you to know I won't forget you, babe. No, I won't forget you, babe.
So that's Outside the Lines, the title cut from Nate Fredrick's debut CD that I happen to have a copy of and very happy of, and I think people can get a feel for why I like this so much. I'm looking at the Spotify listener count on these songs to kind of get a feel for what everybody else liked. They, of course, I think the most listened to song is Outside the Lines, and then Mirrors is second. Did that surprise you at all, or is that kind of the way you thought the album would break out?
Well, I mean, and that kind of goes back to my first thought that from the eclectic standpoint, that these songs, I figured that everybody wouldn't like all of them because they were, a little taste of kind of different styles, really, as far as a record goes, putting it together. So it was kind of a test, testing the market as to what resonated with a fan base or demographic. For me, I enjoy those songs a little more. They're a little more fun to play live. And for whatever reason, people do like the more upbeat, kind of bluesier type of deal outside of the some of the acoustic singer-songwriter type things, which will always be a part of my music.
Yeah, sure.
But so yeah, I think that definitely the response to those two songs helped to solidify and make a decision as to where to move forward, and that helped us with the decision to go to Muscle Shoals and all of that. And so, as much of an artist as you need to be to just follow what you want to write and how you want to do it, I think that it's smart to listen to your fan base.
The song that I was drawn to on the CD may be the saddest of all. I don't know, maybe I'm just kind of a sad guy, but I love songs that have kind of a clever twist and a little wordplay to them. Those always pull me in. And that song "Free" was like that. "Free" could almost be entitled "Be Careful What You Wish For." I mean, everybody, wants to be free, but maybe not. And that's the way that song was. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. There's quite a bit of turmoil in that record as far as those songs. I don't know that. Not that I don't write like that anymore, but I'm kind of past that point in my life, and it was so
good.
Engulfed in it.
Yeah.
I was so engulfed in that it really is. It actually took 8 months after I'd recorded that record to even release it.
Let's give this one just a little sample here. I'm going to give this. I want everybody to listen. Listen to what I call the word play in this, the clever lyricism of Nate Fredrick in this song. This is entitled "Free."
Wish I could go back to a simpler place and time, when we looked in each other's eyes, you didn't wonder if I was lying. All the dreams have been erased, and the hearts have been replaced with the hope of something new. That's the story of me and you. Yeah, I'm free. Yeah, I'm free. Yeah, I'm free. It's never what I thought it'd be. Well, time can change us all, some for better, some for worse. But if I do recall, I was the one that went first. And if everything is wrong, how can it feel so right? So I grabbed that whiskey off the shelf and try to drink you away tonight. Yeah, I'm free. Yeah, I'm free. Yeah, I'm free. It's never what I thought it'd be. It's never what I thought it'd be. It's never what I thought it'd be. People say you gotta let go. Yeah, maybe I did my best, but the memories remain. They keep my heart from laying to rest. They say I'm free. I guess I'm free. thought it'd be.
And maybe it's just geography, but I think this is very interesting. I mean, you're going down to Muscle Shoals, you're doing these songs. You move to Nashville, you're living there, and people would say, okay, well, Nate Fredrick's going to end up someday, just has to be a country guy. Is that pulling you that way, do you think, or not?
I would say that country is an extremely broad term at this point. I don't think that country music is even country anymore. You know?
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah, best rock music made today's country music. A lot of people say. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would say more on the, Americana blues country. If you want to go that route with it, I mean, so it's just kind of it is just the evolution of the people that I got together with to play the music. And we can kind of call it whatever we want. But Muscle Shoals definitely has the flavor on it, and it will, people will be able to compare it to whatever they'd like, but we just tried to write good songs and be true enough to ourselves, to just kind of let it, kind of facilitate it.
And I don't really see any reason to paint music into a corner like that. You either like it or you don't. When you're talking Americana, I mean, if it's made in America, it almost fits that category. But like you say, country could be considered the ultimate Americana music. Well, that's great. And you're still playing the guitar. I mean, your guitar playing is excellent. I wanted to ask you about that too. Are you, as far as the band is concerned, are you playing lead guitar in that, or are you just singing and playing rhythm, or how's that work?
No, I'm actually the person who, my friend, the guitar player and pedal steel player, builds the guitar that I play, and he actually plays lead. I'm more, rhythm and that type of stuff, but mostly acoustic. It kind of fits better. Fits in a good spot, being a four-piece band. Sometimes we'll have a keys player. We've done that for a couple runs. I'm getting ready to do actually a solo tour in December that I'm booking right now. We'll do 5 or 6 dates with a girl named Isabel Crane that's actually from Missouri. That I actually released a single with her that we both sang on called Over Now. It's online and on Pandora and Spotify and those things.
Some of these tour dates, do you think you'll be with her at, what's the name of that place? Knuckleheads down in Kansas City?
Yeah, she plays there quite a bit. Yeah, at some point we'll kind of see how that goes. I know that we have a date in Chicago on the 15th. We actually might even be back in Iowa on maybe the 13th or 14th up in Des Moines, because I know that she plays a lot there.
Ah, great.
Yeah, I think she plays at the Social Club and the Gas Lamp as well. So that could be somebody to look out for if you guys have ever heard of Isabel Crane.
Yeah, I'll give everybody a heads up next time you're in town, and when the new music comes out in November, we'll post that on the website. And I know you're a busy guy, so I want to thank you for being on the show. The phone gave us a little bit of a problem today, but we'll get that sorted out. That's just the nature of the beast, I think. Cell phones sometimes are good, sometimes they're not. It's just everybody's familiar with that. So joining us from Nashville today on the phone, Nate Fredrick. He's got new music coming out in November, and he's going to be coming out in touring the Midwest in probably starting in, early December, Nate?
Yep, that's right.
All right, we'll look forward to it. Thanks to Nate again, and I want to thank everybody for listening in. Check out Nate Fredrick on Spotify and all the usual places you can find great music like that, particularly live music. And be like I was with Warren Zevon. Be one of the early people to catch on to this guy, because it's going to be a name that'll be remembered for quite some time. Nate Fredrick out of Nashville, Tennessee. That's another podcast by George.